Hello, TCOMers. It's Barbara Laverne here, and welcome to Barbara's Project and Post-mortem and talking about stuff and drinking wine. Did I mention drinking wine? Yeah, I needed a lot of wine for this project. So, good stuff. Chile, Merlot, 2009. Cheap, good stuff. Kept me going. So, I need this because I can't do anything at the top of my head. I wanted to talk about whether or not my project was a success. I believe it was. I'm very happy with how it turned out. But when we talk about success, how do we measure success? That's a question. So, does it meet my client's requirements? Does it satisfy all my deliverables? Does it satisfy this lovely project plan that I wrote? Gotta center it in here. Did it make my clients happy? So all of those would be a measure of success, I would say. Meeting my requirements. Now, where did I put the requirements? Oh yeah, I put requirements in here. This is my project plan. Sue didn't like my project plan. I really like this Microsoft template thing, and she made fun of it. Like, what's wrong with this? This is my favorite. It looks pretty, and I've got blue. Crawford's color is blue. I've got their logo, and I think it's nice. But that was just a sign of things to come, because Sue and I have different tastes, and I really like this, and she didn't. So she is someone with a lot more experience than me. And so what? There's words here and it makes sense and I can read it. So this is my project plan. So requirements. What the heck did I put down here? Alright, so I made a wiki, by the way, for an IT support team. So these people there's about 10 of them, and they don't really talk to each other, and they have their own ways of solving issues, and they've got their own versions of documentation, so it's all over the place. So I thought it would be a good idea, and they seem to like it too, to have a wiki. And we talked about it. We had a team meeting and discussed what we would like this wiki to do. So those I would expect were my requirements. So we wanted to consolidate the information, and we wanted the team to share their resolutions. So if they found a way to solve a problem, they would put it in the wiki. Then the others can go and see it and follow the same procedure. So it made sense. Document the support process. So this is where the manager came in and she set out her rules, and she was happy to have a place to do that. Store the procedures, frequently asked questions, and a place to put hot issues. So if there's suddenly a bug introduced because good old Microsoft decided to update whatever, they always introduce problems, especially with email. So place in the wiki to do that. Right now it's hidden, but I have a little table spot on the home page to put hot issues. So yes, all these things I was able to do in my final project, my final deliverable. Track the testing process. I put a place in for it, but didn't put any content in. Track team schedules, or schedules, depends how you want to say it. With this wiki tool I use, which is called Edit Me. Hey, get back up here. This is here. Camera? Hey. Here. Anyway, I'll just crouch down. I need more wine. What was I talking about? Oh, the schedules. Yeah, right. So with this wiki tool, which I used was EditMe, and EditMe has a add-in module for calendaring. And so I installed it, and what a cool thing. So yes, I can put in schedules for vacation or for testing or whatever. It's a real neat module. Once again, the content isn't there, but I've got all the framework ready to go for when these people want to use it. So yes, that was successful. I believe I met the client's requirements. So a drink. Good stuff. Okay, what else? Successfully produced all my deliverables. Okay, now my lovely project plan that, Sue didn't really like, but I did have deliverables in here, so I guess it did the job. I know. Oh yes, okay. My deliverables, I was hoping to produce 20 to 25 pages of documentation, including screenshots and flowcharts. Well, it just kept on growing and growing because I ended up putting in more screenshots than I expected. So I think I gave poor Sue over 30 pages to go through. So good in one way, bad in another, but I think it's more bad for Sue. So I would give that a check. And wiki design framework up to 3 levels deep. I certainly did put in the framework of everything that I wanted this thing to do, so I would say check to that. Branding using company logo in colors, definitely check there. Navigation design using side menus and breadcrumbs. Well, this wiki tool didn't really give me the breadcrumbs that I wanted. There's a side menu, works kind of strange. Didn't have very much control over that. So you're kind of stuck with the tool that you have. And I'm happy enough with it. I'd give it a half check. Wiki style guide and templates to help the IT support team members insert their own content consistently after this project is done. This is a very important thing because I don't want to have to write all the content, so I want my team to be able to put their own content in. Now, I was successful in creating templates, so that's a check. The wiki style guide, I was already going overboard for content, so I'm afraid that the wiki style guide is going to have to be on the company's dime if I am going to produce it, which I will. They seem to want this wiki. So half a check again. I did make an organizational chart, so at least they have an idea of how it's organized, but I need a lot more stuff there. So deliverables, maybe 4 stars, 4 out of 5 stars. So that's not bad. I'm still happy with that. Followed my project plan. Well, I like to skip that one, but I guess I can't. So post-mortems, we're supposed to be honest about things. So I can honestly say that I love my project plan and I'm very proud of it, and it looks very nice and things were very well laid out, but they are a great start. I find that I don't always follow my project plans, and that's what happened with this too. It just never ever turns out the way that you hope it would, and that was the case for me. So my own plan at the beginning was just to keep screenshots to a minimum. For example, I put that in my plan. I didn't think that the team would have time for screenshots. Sue didn't agree with that. She's my buddy, Sue. Hi, Sue. She didn't agree with it, and she was absolutely right. The team actually preferred to take screenshots for all their procedures and just write a little bit. So this is something to remember, but in my project plan I didn't quite allow for the amount of time it would take to do screenshots and size them and position them and make them pretty. One of the things that the people had asked to do was to fuzzy out names. So anything that was put up in the wiki that had actual names needed to be fuzzed out for confidentiality reasons, and it made sense. So screenshots were a lot of work, and I didn't include that in my project plan. So that didn't end up the way I expected. Not everyone on the team gave me content. I planned that each person was going to give me a little something, and I'd have all sorts of diverse topics in there. As it turned out, everyone was busy and not everybody followed through, and I nagged them as much as I could, but there comes a point when you have to stop bugging people. So I didn't get all the content that I expected, but it was just as well because I certainly met uh, the volume of content I needed for this project. So I'm not going to worry about it too much, but it was in the plan. I expected it to go one way and it didn't. The way that I planned to do this also was to just get the wiki going and make the pages and make them link and put in the content, and then I'd make it all nice and pretty. That's how I usually do things when I program, and I thought I'd do it that way too. And, once again, I'm working with Sue and Jill and even myself. I found I couldn't stand working on the wiki unless it looked better. I immediately wanted to at least put in the company brand and put in the company colors and a banner and a header and a footer and change the colors of the font. So before you know it, I'm doing all the design before the content, which was totally opposite to what I wanted to do. But I just found I couldn't look at it until I had everything, all the framework looking right, the colors were right, and then the tables had lines where they shouldn't have been, and I started off with images that were way too big, and so on. So I spent a lot of time on design, and I was really worried because I thought, wow, I'm not going to have any time for content. All I'm doing is design. But I needed content to test the design anyway, so it wasn't too bad that way. And yeah, it worked out okay. So it's not that the project was a failure because I didn't follow my project plan, but my project plan will probably improve next time I do something like this, because I'll say, oh yeah, design up front. I still spent probably maybe more time on design than I really wanted to, and at a certain point I had to say, okay everybody, we have to be happy with this because I'm running out of time and I need to put content in now. So eventually there's a time where you say stop. And it's just where are you going to do that, at the front end or the back end? So anyway, as far as design, that was a bit of a surprise in my project plan. I was really planning for testing. I really expected my support team that wanted this wiki and gave me content, that they'd have time to actually read what I put in there, make sure I got it right. And these people are just so darn busy because they're supporting all of Canada. So there's 10 people supporting a big company of thousands of people. And no, they didn't have time to even read what I put in there or to test it or test the links. The most they did was log in, looked at it, and said, oh, that looks nice, great job. I could have written anything and it wouldn't have mattered. So that's a disappointment too, that as far as the testing went, it just didn't happen. So I did my own. The manager of the team, she actually read some things and gave me some suggestions and corrections, so that was good. But no, that part of my project just didn't happen. Not that I would normally, this is a school project. If this was real life, I wouldn't let that happen. They would have to test, so, because I'm a mean manager. In the project plan, yes, I did want a reference and style guide. I never got to that, but it's an important part, and it certainly isn't usable until I have that created for my team. In my project plan, I listed the risks, and I think I was very good at identifying them because I came across just about every single risk that I had mentioned there. So I was prepared for that. And so I'd say that for as far as the project plan goes, I wrote it once. I kind of went back to it maybe once or twice, but it should be a living document, and I didn't use it the way I should. There's one thing that I do create though is my tasks list, and that's something that I'll post along with this video. And I find this a very useful tool. So I list all the tasks and the dates when these tasks should be completed. And then I have a section in the Excel spreadsheet where I can put in a green for complete, yellow, warning, it doesn't look like I'm going to reach this goal, and red, hey, I'm behind, this is a risk. And so at a glance, I could quickly see what was coming along quite nicely and what was going to be a problem. So I really recommend this type of thing. I learned this from a project manager at the University of Guelph, and it was a very good tool. And hopefully maybe it'll help some of you guys out there. So I give this, my project plan 3 out of 5 stars, and another sip of wine. So here we go. I can hardly wait to meet you guys so we can share this wine together. It'll be very nice. So did my project make my client happy? Oh yes, my clients were very happy. They were very excited when they were finally allowed to see how it looked. And this is the thing, is they just cared about what it looked like. I could have put anything in there, it didn't matter. So that's kind of weird, but it's the way people are, I guess, especially with our type of work. Who reads a manual, who reads a procedures until they really need to use it. And that's where the testing should have come in, but well, we'll see. There's plenty of time for them to actually test it. So anyway, yes, once my wiki was out, the manager of the team was really excited and happy, and she brought in a few other major players at the company, including the vice president of the company, and he's a VP of Information and Communications Technology. So we had a meeting in his office, and he just loved this wiki. And this other guy, Graham, he's administrator of the network. He always wanted a wiki, and he called this system or support catalog of some sort. Anyway, it was something that he always wanted to do, but he never had time to do it. And then the VP, he's looking at it, and yes, he wants this to be used for the whole company across Canada. And I looked at him and I said, oh, I guess that means I'm going to have to change the homepage, because right now it's just for the support team. That means the homepage will now have links to all sorts of departments all over the place. And of course, there's a question of, are you going to pay for this wiki? Because I just used a 30-day trial, and they need to pay for it. The monthly fee is $50. It isn't very much. They really wanted an enterprise solution, but this is certainly good enough, and they can test it, and they can export the information and import it into a new tool if they want to use a new tool. So anyway, they had all sorts of crazy big picture plans, and were asking me all sorts of things, and yeah. I just sounded very knowledgeable about the wiki, so I did very well. Deserved a glass of wine for that one. The only thing is, I think the VP expects me to continue working on this thing in my own time, and that's not going to happen. So we'll see how this goes, because if they want me to work on this wiki, they're going to have to pay for it now. So here's to maybe a raise too. I'd like that. But I'm going to finish this whole glass by the time this is done. So anyway, as far as those measures, I would say that my project was a success. So then, I guess in the course of post-mortem, we look at what worked and what didn't work. And as I said before, what worked for me was that task list. It really made me see where my project was going to start getting into trouble. Um, what else worked? This Echo pen, this smart pen. This is the most awesome thing ever, ever, ever. So this was terrific because I have a horrible memory, and so I was able to record my interviews and play them over and over again as I was writing my procedures. And then after I wrote them, I just emailed the people, my SMEs, that I've got the procedure done. Can you check it and see if it's okay? So that really worked well, and it's a sneaky thing too because you can record anything and people don't really know. I like it. So I'm going to be using this a lot at my job. So thank you, whoever it was. I can't remember, Anita or someone thought of this, and I love my smart pen. Thank you. What else worked? Sue's wonderful design sense. We really worked hard together to get the images right and position them right, and the tables were right, and the colors were right. So, I'm not very good at design. I don't have the world's best color sense. I think I'm getting better, thank goodness, to this course, but I couldn't have done it without Sue. So, thank you, Sue. And Jill was also really helpful in writing out the content too. And I think what worked is to get those two wonderful ladies into the game early. So I didn't wait till later in the project to suddenly ask for feedback. I tried to take advantage of their deadlines of first draft and second draft and so on, and that was really helpful. And they had time for me. I'm sure at the end of the project they were both just going crazy. So anyway, that worked, trying to get them in sooner. Another thing that worked was just to be flexible if your project isn't going the way you plan, to be able to change gears or adapt. You identify risks and you see that they're going to slam you in the face, so be flexible. Your project is not going to follow this roadmap exactly, and you accept it and not fret over it. So one of the major things was I expected the administrator of the network to approve a tool that he could install on his servers, and waiting for a company to decide on anything, no way. So I identified that risk, and I had already started researching a tool that I could use in the cloud that was hosted, was a trial, and had the features that I wanted, and thank goodness for that. So you have to be flexible and just try to keep the project on track, even if things aren't happening the way you expect. What didn't work? Just as I mentioned, expecting my company to approve a tool in a week's time was not going to happen. So it's a good thing that I had a backup plan. What didn't work was expecting my SMEs to spend more time on this project. They're very busy people, and they were able to give me a little bit of time. I'd say maybe 2 hours, 3 hours tops per person, and the rest was up to me. So I'm disappointed in that, but that's reality for them. They have a lot of work to do. What didn't work? The wiki tool was so darn frustrating to use. I came across a lot of problems. Thank goodness I have some programming skills, but the tool is still designed not to allow you to do a lot of things. So there was a bit of a learning curve to this thing. So Anyway, that's applications. I think that no matter what tool I chose, I'd still have problems and so on, so you have to expect that. What else didn't work? The design coming before content. So I think that was a surprise too. It eventually did work out, but my initial thought of putting content in first and then putting in the design, no, that was not going to work at all. And just something to know, the next project that I do, I definitely will have design first and plan for that. And last of all, a toast and many thanks to Jill and Sue for helping me out with this project. I couldn't have done it without them, without their patience, without their feedback. Jill has helped me understand when I can use colons and em dashes. Well, she sent me stuff and she told me, but I think I'm still confused. But yeah, and she reminded me how to write procedures, what order to write them in, and she also posted and emailed something too to remind us all. So I've been writing procedures for a long time, but I still get them backwards. So to Sue and Jill, thank you so much. And I would like to thank my team manager, Norma Jones. She really supported me. She really wanted to see this wiki happen, and she pushed it. She reminded her people to follow through and give me information. She brought it up to the level of the VP to pay for the wiki because I was running out of time and the trial was going to be up and I was going to put my own $50 in, but we had that meeting and who knows where it'll go from here. So it was very nice to have Norma's support. And last of all, my darling, poor husband who misses me. He misses me a lot. So thanks to him for being patient and being alone. All those lonely nights and weekends. But he kept me in good wine. And he stayed up waiting for me even though I was working and chatting and whatever. So to my wonderful husband, I love you, Andre. It's my Andre. So thanks to him. And one more thing I'd like to thank is our secret. It's our secret Facebook group. And you guys, you know who you are. We supported each other and we joked around and we whined for more wine. And I think that it was a wonderful idea to have this little outside Facebook group. It helped us through this whole thing. So thanks to the TCOM group, and I really look forward to seeing you guys at graduation in 2012, whenever it is, because we really don't know when it's going to be, but I think I hear the fall of 2012 keeps on changing. I could go through a lot of wine before this graduation happens. So anyway, cheers everyone. I think this video was a little bit longer than I expected, but I prattle on when I have too much wine. So bye, and thanks for listening. And I shall turn it off.